Welcome to the High Ground Podcast. I'm Stevie W.
And I'm Callum.
So, today we're going to be looking at The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's 2008 masterpiece, its legacy, and just how cinema has changed in terms of the comic book industry and comic book movies since The Dark Knight. Or is The Dark Knight just this overrated thing that fanboys in the whole world seems to be gushing all over? So, initial thoughts, The Dark Knight.
Right, so we do have a history of The Dark Knight, don't we? So, when it first came out, it was all over the place, and everyone all over Batman and the Joker, and I remember it just annoying me at the time, because we've said loads of times on this podcast how annoying it is when people suddenly jump on something that they didn't like before, but now they do because it's popular. And I think that kind of I'm not sort of dissing the film itself. It is a great film, and we will go into that. But just the initial sort of hype of it really sort of irritated me. Same with Frozen. I think it's the same thing with that, where going in I was kind of thinking, oh God, everyone loves this film. Does that mean I'm going to hate it?
All I can say about Frozen is just let it go.
Yeah.
You walked into that.
I did, yeah.
I remember you were telling me a story, about how when you were younger, being bullied because you liked Batman, and The Dark Knight was the shift, and it didn't really. I mean, 'cause I'm from the culture and from a time where superheroes and everything like that was uncool. If you want, I would say Mallrats, Brody talking to TS about comic books and how it was underground. To me, that it wasn't until you pointed it out and you actually realised that from 2008 onwards, it's from the likes of The Dark Knight, it did open it up. I mean, Batman was big in '89, but it didn't reach the masses like The Dark Knight did. So
no.
But to me, as I've always been ingrained in with superheroes, I mean, I've been to cinema to see every Batman film, other than the Lego Batman, which I don't define as being canon in any world. But I have seen every Batman film since '89 at the cinema, even the ones that have diminished in quality. So, to me, Dark Knight was initially just another movie.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Although, I will be honest, Batman Begins, I did not like when I saw it for the first time.
Oh, really? I still think Batman Begins is I think it's quality-wise, it's the best one of the trilogy, I think. I really like the I like the whole backstory and the way it's non-linear, and, it's Nolanized, basically, isn't it? But, even you go back to that, when that first came out, he wasn't really a massive household name by then. I mean, people knew of, a couple of my friends have said, have you seen Memento? You have to see Memento, it's great. And, I think he was kind of a bit, when Tarantino first started, people were saying, oh, you need to see this guy, he's pretty good. But he wasn't I don't think he was a household name, as such by then. I mean, maybe afterwards and after the Prestige and stuff like that, he might have been, but it was just, 2008 was that. I think it's the whole superhero explosion in general, isn't it? Because Iron Man as well came out that year, didn't it? So,
if you look at Batman, this is something which I really didn't notice. I mean, you look at it, we're not talking. If you compare the receipts from '89's Batman and to Batman Begins, and it wouldn't be fair because of the big difference. But if you look between 2005 and 2008, Batman Begins took in 373 million at the worldwide box office, compared to over $1 billion 3 years later for The Dark Knight.
Yeah, wasn't it the first superhero film to reach $1 billion?
I think it was. Yeah,
because I know Batman '89 was the most lucrative at the time, wasn't it?
'89 took in 411. That 411 million at the worldwide box office. So Batman in '89 took in more than Batman Begins did.
Yeah, and I suppose it's even more now, isn't it?
Yeah,
that
it would be, yeah. And, you know, so Batman was in our culture. To an extent where it was taking in that much in the box office. But The Dark Knight is the one that made Batman cool.
Yeah, for like the ones who thought he was not cool before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I came to one of the things when I was doing all this, looking into it. I mean, you consider that there has been I consider it to be two eras of modern day. When I say modern day, I'm talking over 40 years now, of superheroes. You can say it went from 1978 with Richard Donner's Superman up until 2008. 2008 with Iron Man and The Dark Knight. Those two films completely changed the trajectory. I mean, Iron Man only took in, I mean, when I say only, it's a really good feat, 585 million. And that's around about half of what Dark Knight took in. But if you look at how the box office of what Iron Man started, with the first thing that actually worked, I mean, they had the Ang Lee's Hulk, which was a misstep. And but for the MCU, Iron Man was the start. And you look at where we are now with the MCU, and you also look at how The Dark Knight, more than Batman Begins, literally influenced the majority of the DCEU movies, because they all went darker. I mean, even with Zack Snyder's take on the characters, they had Nolan's colour palette, as you could say, and the whole idea, we've got to keep DC dark. Even with Superman, a character that really should have the similar sort of colour palette and bright colours of, say, Superman. Nolan's fingerprints has always been on it since DC, since Dark Knight.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think like it's kind of like the new hope of superhero films, isn't it? Like everything afterwards would always try and copy that grittiness, you know. Because I mean, obviously before that, the last sort of image of Batman was Batman and Robin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, Bat nipples. So yeah, I mean, going from that to even like Batman Begins is quite, you know, serious as well and dark. But I think it's with The Dark Knight where it sort of, you know, it was almost a crime drama more than it was a superhero film, wasn't it? Like it was like watching something Michael Mann would do.
Yeah.
And I think it really did work at the time. And I think everything that tries to copy it since, I mean, even the TV series Gotham, which is actually really good, it follows Jim Gordon before he's commissioner, and it's the same tone. Like it's a dark city that needs someone to save it, and you know it's almost like Seven a little bit, not quite as disturbing, but and then that sort of, you know, like the cops that are put against it sort of thing. And I don't know, yeah, I think every sort of, definitely every DC film after that is always trying to be like The Dark Knight. It's just almost to their detriment, because we've said loads of times how too serious the DC films are. You know, like the Man of Steel is so devoid of like any sort of, I don't know, happiness is the word. Like, I mean, you watch Dick Donner's Superman and it's all bright and it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just, it works. Like you feel like you're having fun. I didn't feel like I was having fun with Man of Steel. I just felt like I was sort of, it's too dark and grimy and Nolan-y, like you said, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, for me, Superman, I try and spoilers to sort of point out, in the Arrowverse big crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earth, you see Brandon Routh donning a Superman costume, and with the iconic John Williams theme. And to me, that's Superman. I mean, I think Henry Cavill is a great Clark Kent and a great Superman, but I just don't like the colour palette that he's in.
No.
I mean, it's not Superman. Superman is, like I said, it's Captain America. You know, you want it to be fun and bright and hope. But, you know, Batman versus Superman, which is, it's a good film, but it's too long.
Yeah.
And I don't like the Justice League movie. I'm looking forward to the Snyder Cut. I think
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I like Zack Snyder. I think Zack Snyder's, when he can have the reins to do what he wants to do rather than being shadowed, he can make strokes of genius. Just look at Watchmen, which is another film which I will go into.
Or Dawn of the Dead. Like he has all 300. He's a very visual guy, isn't he? Like his visuals are fantastic.
Yeah, when I was around the time Sucker Punch came out, when they did the big announcement about Man of Steel, and I thought, if Zack Snyder brings this colour palette to Superman, we're going to be in for a ride. But he had, ultimately, with Man of Steel, he made a studio pick that was following the criteria set out by Warner Brothers DC, and it was more of a Batman themed Superman movie, which all goes back to The Dark Knight. Yeah,
I think you can get away with making Batman darker, because he is a dark character anyway. I mean, even Tim Burton was, his films were dark, weren't they? But I don't think you can get away with making Superman that dark, because it either ends up being goofy like Superman 3 with the two Supermen in that, or it just ends up, I don't know, just not connecting, where you just don't feel anything for him, which is a bad thing with Superman, because you do want to feel, he'd probably be the only character, ironically, from another world that we feel the most related to, because he is like that guy that is like a fish out of water, and we've all felt like that at one point, whereas we're not all billionaires that have Batmobiles and whatnot.
You mentioned about how dark the Tim Burton Batman was. I mean, a little shout out. We did a commentary track on Batman, and it wasn't until, this is a Batman is a film which I've watched for years, and until you sit down and actually analyze it, that film is dark, especially the Joker. But
I never noticed how scary Jack Nicholson was. I mean, I always just find him funny, which is part of the whole gig, but he is scary. Like, everyone sort of says Heath Ledger's like the best Joker, but I still think, we'll go into Heath Ledger in a minute, but I still think Nicholson's like, he's got like that weird, he's playing himself, isn't he, basically? Yeah. So there's nothing scarier than that,
And there's a scene which I know we are going to go into, the interrogation scene.
Oh yeah.
In the Dark Knight. But if you look at the scene where Jack Nicholson is with Vicky Vale and Bruce Wayne turns up, and they have the whole scene where have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? And that's when Bruce realizes that the Joker's Jack Napier, and it's like the whole scene is just pure brilliance. But everybody now they just overlook that. Yeah. And of course you've got the scene between which I love. It's I think it's one of the great pieces of cinema in Returns, with Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton. A kiss under the mistletoe, it could be deadly if you eat it. It could be even deadlier. It's pure brilliance. And yet now everybody just goes on and on and on and on about Nolan's Batman. Yeah. To the point where we overlook Ben Affleck, who is a damn good Batman.
He is a good Batman, yeah. Batfleck.
Yeah.
But, there's another moment at the end of 89 as well where, where they're in the bell tower and the Joker is basically saying, well, you idiot, I made you. You wouldn't be anything without me, sort of thing. Even, the writing's so good with Jack Nicholson's Joker, because it just fits his personality so well. And I think people forget that he was, for a while, that was the only Joker, and there wasn't anyone better than that. I don't think there still is. I mean, maybe Mark Hamill pushes it as the animated Joker, but he's still basing that off of Jack Nicholson, I think, a little bit.
I completely agree. I mean,
which is not to say Heath Ledger's not good. It's a shame. It is such a shame he's taken from us. But I think everyone sort of overshadows what came before with, an example is when Dark Knight came out, I would say, people would ask me if I liked it or not, because they knew I was into, films and geeky stuff and that. And I would say, yeah, it was great. I said, but I think Michael Keaton's probably still my favourite Batman. And people would go, oh, who? And you think, oh, you better be joking.
I mean, we've also podcasted about who our favourite Batman is, and Michael Keaton is, to me, Batman. I think he's, and this is not just a childhood thing. This is, I think, that's why I love Birdman, and I loved him as the Vulture in Spider-Man. Homecoming.
Great.
As soon as I found out he was cast, I was like, yes, you've got Batman in Spider-Man, and you've got Catwoman in Ant-Man and Wasp. I was like, yes, because Tim Burton's Batman is the reason I started reading. I was reading Batman comics in the 90s when Batman wasn't popular, right? You know, and it's to me, Michael Keaton is always going to be my Batman. That's why I'm looking forward to the Flash movie. And Batfleck's back. Sorry, but I like.
No, Ben Affleck. It's a shame for Ben Affleck. I think he was shortchanged by everyone, you know, by Warners and that. I just think it's easy to sort of say, oh, he's a rubbish Batman because of this or that or the other, but you know what? I actually thought that was one of the good things about the DCU.
Yeah, I do agree. I just want another little shout out to Jay and Silent Bob reboot. It's got a nice little Ben Affleck cameo at the end, and they make a nice little Batman reference. So that's my one shout out to Kevin Smith. You know, I just want to touch on something. You know, with Batman Begins. The difference between that and Dark Knight, which Dark Knight is a lot darker than Begins. If you think about it, and this is another reason why you could argue that the modern day superhero movie started in 2008. If you look at, we'll go back to 2000 with Bryan Singer's X-Men, how he created a realistic world where these superheroes are in. Now, you could argue that Batman Begins is a continuation of that. Whereas when you hit the Dark Knight, it gets grittier and darker and even more real-worldy.
Yeah.
Because the colour palette does change. Because what I can remember from Batman Begins is there's a lot of browns and everything in it, but as soon as you hit Dark Knight, it becomes pitch black. And it's...
Yeah, and like deep dark blues, and if you do get daytime scenes, they're generally inside or you don't see the daytime very much, and it's quite a claustrophobic film, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I think.
It's Dark Knight. I mean, it's one of these films. It's, you know, if I'm to right now switch on a one of the Nolan trilogy, I'd be going for Dark Knight Rises, to be honest with you, because I like it. It's a comic book movie, but it's good, and it's something which we'll touch on it now. Dark Knight Rises. Okay, this is the box office for Dark Knight. Dark Knight, actually, this is from IMDb. The world gross is 1 billion, 5 million, 0.05 million, 973 645. Whereas Dark Knight Rises, which was 4 years later, 2012, took in 1 billion 081 142 612. So it's not really that much less. But in terms of popularity and how people view it, as much as Rises, there's not really that much in terms of difference between box office. It actually, people don't see Dark Knight Rises on the same level as they do the Dark Knight.
No, I think it probably box office is because everyone was like, wow, the last part of the trilogy, God, we've got to see this. But yeah, no, you're right, it did go back sort of more comic booky, didn't it? Not too much, like it still had that Nolan realistic thing, but the thing with the bomb at the end, and that looked very comic book to me, and sort of having, they had like more than one villain, didn't they? Oh no, they've done that before, but I mean, felt more like sort of they were trying to cram more characters into the last one. Sorry, the last one than before, because you had Catwoman, you've got Bane, you've got Talia al Ghul, and you know, wrapping everyone's story up. It was always going to be the hardest one to finish, I think.
But you look at Return of the Jedi after Empire Strikes Back, people say Empire Strikes Back, then Return of the Jedi. It becomes mythology in itself about how great the movie is. It transcends, so that no matter how great anything is going to become after it, you'll always be going, well, it had the Ewoks in it, or it didn't have Heath Ledger's Joker in it, which obviously they couldn't. There'll always be some reason why a certain section will always say, well, it isn't as good because of this. They will always say something because of this.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, and now if I remember right, there was a lot of people kicking up a stink as soon as Heath Ledger, the pretty boy, was announced as the Joker.
Yeah, and I must admit, I was one of them, actually. I didn't go and, like, spend my time making placards and boycotting anything, but I was thinking, well, I don't know about that might not work. But as soon as I think it's because they kept everything so shrouded in mystery. Like, there was only a couple of trailers that were released, and they did like a viral marketing thing, didn't they? But there wasn't really any. There was only a few photographs of him, and they weren't like really revealing. So in a way, I'm glad they did that, because when we went in blind, he was great. You know, like, I immediately at the beginning, when he takes the mask off, you know, in the bank robbery scene, I thought, no, he looks pretty good, actually. I'll take it back. But I'm glad we went in sort of not knowing that much about it, so the mystery was still there, you know.
I completely agree with you, but it seems to be a common trait with fanboys. If they don't like something, they're going to kick up a stink. I mean, come on, Michael Keaton. Kick up because Beetlejuice is playing Batman. Daniel Craig was not James Bond. What about that Robert Pattinson playing Batman? Yeah.
How can a vampire pretty boy do that?
Yeah. As soon as I thought, as soon as was it The Batman, is it called?
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as The Batman was announced, Robert Pattinson. Now, I'm not a fan of Robert Pattinson, not because he's in Twilight, it's just that he's yet to make a film that I really enjoy. And but I say this, I want to see the Robert Pattinson film I'm going to enjoy. Yeah,
I think he has. We've said this about Zac Efron as well, haven't we? Like, he hasn't made the film that's sort of broken out yet, but they've both definitely got the acting chops in them. We've all seen Twilight and we all take the piss out of it to the point where it's sort of like a cliche now, isn't it? But I've seen him in other things and he's perfectly, like, fine. He's a good actor. Like, he can hold, like, the screen by himself. So there's no other reason when you see that trailer for The Batman, I just thought, yeah, this looks like a Batman film.
As soon as I found out it was Matt Reeves, I was like, War for the Planet of the Apes? Okay, I'm in. I love those Planet of the Apes movies. So I was like, as soon as I found his name was attached to it, I was like, I'm one of these people that are going, that if someone's going to start slagging something off that they haven't seen, I want to see it even more now.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's one of the things that I like to be impressed. I mean, like I said, I really believe Zac Efron. When he gets the right role, he's going to be huge.
Yeah, I totally agree. I absolutely agree with what you just said as well about when the majority of people say something's rubbish. Like, for me, and it's a shame because it stopped me seeing it when it came out, but when I saw it afterwards, I sort of saw it as like a fuck you to all of those, was 2016 Ghostbusters. Yeah, everyone was sort of just told me, no, don't watch it. If you like the original, just don't watch it out of principle. And I was thinking, what is this train wreck of a movie? I have to see it. And then I saw it and I thought, what is everyone moaning about? Like, it's not great, but it's not. I've seen much worse. In fact, I've seen Batman films that are much worse.
I sat through Ghostbusters at cinema because this was all crap that was coming out about it before it even came out. And I was like, I'm going to sit in that cinema. And it was, I always argue that the films that I build up so high, and then they let me down, that's worse than the ones I go into with low opinion. If I go into a low opinion, and if I go into a low opinion and it is rubbish, I'll walk out of the cinema feeling, I was right. But if it's one that I build up high, and then I walk out and think it's a load of crap, that's worse. But with Ghostbusters 2016, I walked in going, I think this looks good. I like the trailer. I like the colour palette, which I could see in the trailer. And the only thing that pissed me off about that film was I didn't like Bill Murray's cameo. But I really wanted to see a sequel because of Sigourney Weaver's character.
Yeah. But it's just, I was the same with, what do you call it? Batman v Superman. I really, really heard so many bad things about it. And, the other way around. Sorry, I really was pumped for it. Sorry, my brain scrambled this morning. And when it came out, I was disappointed. You know, I thought this is going to be good. Zack Snyder's, you know, Man of Steel was a bit of a misstep, but he's got like the tone down right and everything like that. And he's a more than competent director, so I thought this is going to be good. And then I came out thinking, what was that? I just watched the 2.5 hours late.
Because I'm very loyal when it comes to, if someone makes something that I love, I will be loyal. I mean, after Watchmen, which I think is one of the great superhero films ever made, I really wanted it to be good. But, you know, when I couldn't get upset with Superman dying at the end, because I thought it was really ham-handed, I thought I should be bawling my eyes out, like I did when I read the comic book with Doomsday comic book.
Yeah, well, it's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I shouldn't be, and I didn't like the way that Superman's body was put into Lois's arms. Superman dies in Lois's arms. You shouldn't have been. I didn't like the way that.
No.
That's a film.
It was two films stuck into one, wasn't it? Really, too many characters, too many plot lines. Like, there was no need to have Wonder Woman in it.
Nope.
And you know, you could have kept that scene at the end where he goes on the computer and sees all the metahumans. That could have been like your mid-credits sequence. Yeah. But there was no need for it to have Doomsday in it, and that all should have been in Justice League.
Yeah.
It was just, it was too crammed full of unresolved storylines and stuff like that. And yeah, going back to the Dark Knight, whatever you think about it, it's quite a long film, but it's compact and everything's concise and it's succinct. Like, the story's neatly started, neatly wrapped up for the second part of the trilogy, and it's all sort of packed in there like quick. It does seem like a really fast-paced film, even for the length of it. And by the time you get to that sequence at the end in the building, where he's sort of not killing the police, but he's sort of incapacitating them, isn't he? Yeah. I think that seems fantastic, like as the wrap up for like the whole thing. Just where he's got the Joker hanging off that cable. I think that was the perfect pacing in a Batman film, I think.
It's 2 hours 32 minutes long.
Yeah, see, so it's quite a long film, but it doesn't feel. I think the Rises feels longer than it is compared to Dark Knight. I mean, that is quite a long time for a main blockbuster film, isn't it? Yeah. Until you got to like Endgame.
Yeah. One that should have came with a toilet break.
But there's one as well. I mean, Endgame. I've seen quite a few 3-hour films, and that if you showed me that without telling me the running time, I would have said, I don't know, like 2.5 hours. It's so quick and so neatly sort of tied up with a bow, if you like. I think that's another one that because of the great editing and the great pacing, it doesn't feel like 3 hours at all.
So go back. I was looking back a bit. Say Rises is 2 hours 44, so it's the longest one of the lot. But, yeah, but Endgame is because, in my opinion, it's because it's the perfect 3-act movie.
Yeah.
Superman. There's each act has a start and a middle, has a start and an end. So, but for a film that is so dark, I mean, yeah, I completely agree about the pacing. Everything is there for a reason in Dark Knight. And it's just
there's no loose ends.
No. And I like the line one of the Joker's last lines about how they're going to keep going all around this forever. It's going to be constant, like because he can't kill him.
It's the comics, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's a shame that he's passed away, because he was his Joker, and it's the performance, how he can be talking, but when he puts on that deeper voice, you just
it's
freaky.
He is intense, isn't he? I mean, the main thing about Ledger's Joker, and it's like a little subtle thing, really. It's not even to do with his like actual bombastic performance. It's more, that when he tells his origin story and he tells a different one each time.
Yeah.
And I love that sort of like, because the second film's theme is undoubtedly about chaos, isn't it? He's all for chaos and anarchy and all that. And I think the fact that he tells a different origin story every time he tells one, that's the unreliable nature of the Joker, isn't it? You mean, you don't have to know how he got them scars, but only he knows that, and you'll never find out. And I love that. I think that's great, like, because there is that mystery to the Joker, isn't there, about who he was before, and there's some sort of backstories that do, like in '89, I think that's probably the only weak thing about that, where he ends up being the one that killed Bruce's parents. I like the Joker when he has no past.
I also like the narrative of the fact that it does tie the two together, which they also tried with Joker. They did. Yeah.
No, I was just about to bring Joker up, actually. I think Joker is the perfect companion piece to the Dark Knight. It's the Dark Knight from the Joker's perspective, essentially, isn't it? Not the plot itself, but there's no Batman. Batman's not around. The police are shy. And it's just like, it's Gotham in the 80s, maybe when the Joker started. I think that's such a great idea. I'd love to see a little series of films, with Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, just sort of exploring that with no Batman ever.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. It's just, that was another one, wasn't it, that was kind of a bit hyped up too much, wasn't it?
I actually went to the cinema. I went to the cinema to watch it, and me and the fiance, we are big superhero fans, but we kind of come out of it a bit because of, I am not a Marvel fanboy. I'm of the philosophy of I want to see a good superhero film. I don't go and just see Marvel films, but after Wonder Woman, which I wasn't a fan of at the time, I said I've got no interest in Aquaman because I don't like one of the leading actresses in it. Shazam looked terrible, so
it was.
Yeah, I enjoyed Shazam. I eventually watched it. Yeah,
I've only seen it. I only saw it once at the cinema, and I really didn't like it. But I don't know whether if I rewatched it again, maybe.
Suicide Squad was rubbish, which was one of the last ones I actually saw. I didn't like Suicide Squad, so unless it was a Batman film or a Superman film, I wasn't going to go and see it. I kind of missed out on Birds of Prey. But we went to see the Joker because the Joker looked good. And I walked out of it thinking, that was gruesome. And then within a week with everybody bawling, I was like, everybody is literally Joker, you got to see the 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 Joker.
Busting all over it.
And then it's like, oh God, it does. It's the whole everybody else claiming ownership of something that was...
I know, what clinched it for me with the Joker, it's just Joker, isn't it?
Joker.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's that they said this isn't in any universe, it's its own thing. And I think that's great. You can do your own thing with it then. There's no baggage, there's no... Like I say, it's weird, but it works without Batman.
Yeah.
You don't need him in there. And you see, like, Thomas Wayne and that are there, aren't they? But it's just... It was nice to see it in its own universe. And the Dark Knight's like this as well. It's just a self-contained trilogy. There's no crossover with Superman, no mention of anyone else. And I think it really, really works like that. Like, because you're focusing on Batman. You don't... The MCU had only just started, hadn't it? I mean, so they teased the Avengers thing at the end of the credits. So they hadn't even started building that yet, really. So I think even the Dark Knight didn't have an inkling of, like, sort of creating a cinematic universe. And I'm glad it didn't, in a way, because it is, like, you sort of say the Dark Knight trilogy, people know what you mean, don't they? Whereas you say Batman film, and you think, well, which one?
I completely agree 100%, and I like the ending. I like the ending of Rises, and it's a trilogy. It's like, I mean, if you look at they are never ending. I mean, the only trilogy I can think of is the Spider-Man trilogy, but that was supposed to be 4, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man one. But in terms of literally, we know it's going to be a trilogy. It's Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises. So it's nice to have 3 self-contained. I mean, look at the X-Men films that just, with the exception of a few standout pieces like your Logan, and I like the Wolverine.
Yeah, I do as well, actually.
Days of Future Past. But you look at all the crap that they've got in between.
Yeah.
So you can say, well, I like the X-Men. Well, which ones? Well, I don't like Apocalypse. I enjoyed New Mutants. I thought Dark Phoenix was not as good as Last Stand. So, but you can say, well, it is it's the 2 Tim Burton movies and the Dark Knight trilogy. But other than that, it's like Superman. So how do you define Superman? You got Superman, you got Superman 2, you got Superman 2 directors. The Dick Donner cut, you got Superman 3, Quest for Peace, and then do we include Batman? Superman Returns in on that. There's no light. Even the Marvel trilogies, you have your Iron Man and your Captain America. It's sort of it's sort of like, well, they may be trilogies, but they're still tied in to the bigger end piece. He's still part of the MCU, but the Dark Knight trilogy, the Nolan trilogy, is a trilogy, and I like it. It's superb. There's 4.
Well, I mean, trilogies are like the age-old, easy way to wrap a story up, aren't they? Because each one represents what it is. It's the beginning, it's the middle, and it's the end of. They're basically film-length 3-act structures, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, we always joke about going back to it, but Star Wars. I mean, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. A New Hope is your start of your journey. Empire, things go to shit. We need something dark to happen. Return of the Jedi. The good guys win. Yeah. Or like the end of your story at least. And Dark Knight follows that as well. Batman Begins, how he becomes Batman. Dark Knight, how he learns to fail. Dark Knight Rises, he dies in quote marks and leaves it for someone else. That's a 3-act structure, I think.
Yeah, and it's perfect because of it. And I'm so glad they never got. They just went and said, that's it, no more like that, and we're going to continue with a different whole universe.
Yeah.
So I think it also helped the legacy of the trilogy because of it, and by
definitely
the trilogy.
What's our opinion on Christian Bale?
Yeah,
I think we differ here, don't we?
Okay. I like Le Mans 66, or what is it called in other territories?
What's that?
Ford Ferrari.
Ford vs Ferrari.
Yeah, I think Christian Bale is absolutely superb in that. I just want a bit of a shout out for that film. But I think Christian Bale is an underrated Batman. I think he was overshadowed by Heath Ledger, and the only reason Heath Ledger is as good as he is in certain scenes, I'm not going to detract from the bits where he's going against the goons. I think that when you put Christian Bale and Heath Ledger in that interrogation scene, you could not do it any better, and Christian Bale is superb, and he emotes from under a mask. At least with Heath Ledger, he had his face, even though it was in makeup, he still had his face. Bale is under the cowl, and yet he still emotes, and he still delivers.
Yeah, see, I've never ever really resonated towards Christian Bale as an actor. Like, nothing against the guy, but as long as you don't move any lights out the way while he's filming Terminator. No, I've never seen a film. I've seen a couple of films where I've been like, he's a great actor. Like American Psycho is one of those. I used to hate that film, but I always thought this guy's going to go places. He's a good actor, but I've never ever gravitated towards him as Batman. I think he's a really good Bruce Wayne, and he plays that sort of you know, that duality that Bruce Wayne has to have, where he has to pretend he's like a playboy billionaire guy that doesn't really give a shit. I think Bale does that really well. But it's that voice when he plays Batman just annoys the life out of me. Yeah, I just want to like see if he wants a fisherman's friend or anything like that. For anyone in the US, that's like a cough sweet if you don't get them. But no, yeah, I think we have to go on to the interrogation scene now, don't we? Yeah. Really? Yeah, no, I mean, it was one scene we came out of the original viewing of where we sort of looked at each other and went, interrogation scene was the best scene, wasn't it? I mean, like straight away.
I'm going to do a bit of a shout out now. We are going to we are going to start in series soon, and it's going to be so much easier when we're in the same room to actually be able to do it, where we break down our favourite scenes, and that is one of the ones which we are going to do.
Yeah.
And as it's a superb scene. I mean, the lack of music that's in it, and it's just the noise in the background, everything, and it reminds me of how Obi-Wan never told you. I'm the wrong thing. It's when when Vader's goading Luke, and Luke lashes out in Jedi. This is exactly like that. The Joker is goading the Batman, to lose his shit, and Batman loses his shit, and it's just superb acting by the both of them, and it's beautifully shot. It's so full of tension.
Yeah, the one sort of line that always sticks out for me is when he's sort of beating the crap out of Joker, and he's like, "You have nothing you can threaten me with," and it's so. Like, it's so scary because there is nothing that phases him. Even if you were to torture him, he just wouldn't care. And I think there's no scarier villain than the one that has nothing to lose. Yeah. And the Joker's the same. Like, he's exactly like that. Like, I think that line's so chilling. Like, all the power that Batman has. Like, he's this great hero that helps innocent people and fights criminals. But this is the one criminal you can't just beat to a pulp. I think that's just fantastic.
The end game of that interrogation, even if he killed him, the end game is still the same.
Yeah.
Everything is in place, and it's going to happen if the Joker's dead or not. So you say he has nothing to lose.
Yeah. And that's the Joker summed up, isn't it? He is anarchy.
Yeah. And we don't actually go. I mean, like you said, he tells the stories. He tells the story multiple times. And we don't know why he is the way he is, and you can't. It's like you don't know what you're reasoning with. That you don't have a definitive answer as to why the Joker is the way the Joker is. And that performance is superb in that scene. And I said that, and a piece of cinema is pure brilliance.
I mean, I like the idea that you can come up with your own sort of idea of what happened to him. I mean. Probably the most sort of prevailing theory on, like, I usually go into fan theories, but I do find them interesting to read. Is the idea that he used to be a soldier, because he does he mentions soldiers a couple of times, and specifically in the scene with Two-Face where he's in the hospital bed and he says, if someone blows up a truck full of soldiers, no one panics. So if you kill one little old person, everybody loses their mind. And I always sort of thought, it makes sense that he would maybe be a war veteran. Yeah. But again, it's like, it's not acknowledged, so it's up to you whether you can come. And I love that ambiguity about him. You can't do Joker with clear cuts. That's why Suicide Squad Joker just rubbed me the wrong way. Just like he just looks like a gangster in it, and it really annoys me.
What they wanted, though. So I really, if you're someone like Jared Leto and you got the opportunity to play a role like that, you'd take it.
No, yeah, I don't blame him for doing that, but it's just, I mean, probably I'd say Heath Ledger is probably the last. Oh no, Joaquin Phoenix as well. Him, Heath Ledger, and Jack Nicholson. They're probably the definitive Jokers, aren't they?
If you go on, if you do a bit of research, and if you have a look for a Joker, a lot of people do get dressed up as Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah. It's probably the easiest one to do, though, isn't it?
Yeah, plus I suppose a lot of the guys that get dressed up as Jared Leto's Joker are hoping that they'll get photographed with someone that dressed up as Margot Robbie's
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm glad Harley Quinn wasn't in Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It would have totally thrown off the tone, wouldn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I didn't really start getting into the character of Harley Quinn until Kelly Kawako's animated one. I thought, I think that to me is pure brilliance, and one of the reasons why I started watching DC again.
I mean, the one in the original 90s animated series, that was where the character was created in the animated series. I didn't realise that. I thought she was a comic book creation, but along with Mark Hamill as well, you can't get a greater pair of villains.
So, what famous film director named his daughter after Harley Quinn?
Oh, it's Kevin Smith, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, try and get me with that one.
We have not. Michael Caine's Alfred.
I think Michael Caine's fantastic as Alfred. I think he might be the best one, actually.
I do agree. I mean, I'd like to have seen where Brain Freeze, DCEU, I can't believe I forgot his name.
Jeremy Irons?
Jeremy Irons, can't believe that. Sorry, Brain Freeze listeners. Yeah, Jeremy Irons. I'd like to have seen where they would have took that one.
Yeah, I thought he was an awful Alfred. I thought he was too young. Like, far too young.
But Michael Caine, come on, Michael Caine is literally, he's like a Nolan favourite, so...
Yeah, him and Cillian Murphy as well.
Yeah. Oh,
they're always in Nolan films, aren't they? Yeah, no, I think he's fantastic. I mean, Sir Michael Caine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who, like, I liked Michael Gough as well.
Yeah.
He was good for the time, but, I mean...
He was in Batman and Robin. That kind of loses a few points for
I know, but he was in Dracula with Christopher Lee.
Okay, but he's still in Batman and Robin. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say, though. The whole cast of the trilogy, they're all perfect, I think. I mean, Gary Oldman is just... He is absolutely superb as Gordon. Like, that is Gordon for me. Whenever I think of Gordon, I just think of Gary Oldman with his hairbrush moustache. Like, he's just perfect for that part.
He's a real chameleon. When you watch that, you don't actually think of him as being in Harry Potter.
No. Or, ironically, or Dracula.
Yeah.
Or, he's like sort of, people used to always say Tom Hardy was this amazing chameleon, but like Gary Oldman's the guy who's been doing it, so he never plays the same character.
No. Go back to, who we haven't touched upon, even though he's like a big part of the film, Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
Two-Face.
I'll go through my issue with him first, and it is that he feels a little sort of squeezed in as Two-Face. You know, where the film's sort of trying to ramp up. I think it didn't need two villains. I think Rises should have had Two-Face as the main villain. I think he should have been sort of teased, but not... I don't know, I feel like you've got this great powerhouse with Heath Ledger, and he's carrying the whole film, basically, and then... like, having him as Harvey Dent, that's fine, I thought that was great, like, it was... And even all the way up to him being injured, I thought they should have just kept him in the hospital till the third film. I don't know, what's your opinion?
I do agree with you. I mean, I think he was overshadowed by Heath Ledger, and at the end where he's threatening Commissioner Gordon's family, it did seem like a tag-on ending.
Yeah.
They could have just ended it with the Joker swinging, but it does, and started up the next film with Two-Face.
I don't know whether it was maybe all done as a reshoot because of Heath Ledger's death, or was the film finished completely when he died?
It was.
Oh, so it was. Yeah, no. I always thought it felt a bit reshooty. I don't know if maybe it was in general, like regardless of his death. I just thought it does feel tacked on a little bit, sort of, to get an ending sort of out of it.
I think that they didn't realise how much Heath Ledger was going to overshadow the entire movie.
Yeah.
In terms of not in terms of his death, but in terms of his performance. I mean, I suppose you think someone's going to be good, but you don't know until you actually get in there that. You see the performance that's going to be the one that stands out. I mean, I'll go for an example. I mean, it's not the same, but prior to watching Guardians of the Galaxy, I just thought Rocket Raccoon's going to be the big standout star. Turns out it's the talking tree, Groot. So when you go into it, you never can tell what's going to be. You think something's going to work, but then it could be the talking tree. Whereas I'm not comparing Heath Ledger to Groot, but Heath Ledger in his performance overshadowed everything.
Yeah,
it was that good. Agree. And personally, I found the prosthetics and the CG on Harvey Dent to be a bit too disturbing. I thought it was a bit too gross.
It was quite gruesome, wasn't it? Actually, yeah. I mean, I haven't got any problems with his performance. He was very good. I mean, it's either that or it's Tommy Lee Jones, which I'm not.
No,
not
that's a terrible film.
But yeah, it was just, I don't know. Yeah, it probably was my only issue with the film, right? Apart from the hype unfairly skewing it. But I always had sort of like, if Heath Ledger hadn't died, my perfect third film would have been The Riddler or Two-Face. I don't know which one. And, Bruce can't handle it, so he has to go and see the Joker in jail. Kind of like Signs of the Lambs and say, how do I stop this guy? What would you do? Sort of thing. I thought that would have been, like, that, in my head, that was my perfect Batman film, like, to finish it off.
That would be cool. I was just looking at, we haven't touched on. How about, it just completely hit me. You got Lucius Fox, Morgan Freeman. And he doesn't like how Bruce Wayne is abusing the power to get, with the tracking everybody's phone calls and everything.
Yeah.
And then ultimately at the end, Bruce redeems himself by when Lucius threatens to quit and is going to quit, so he just types in things and literally the entire tech explodes. Power and the abuse of power. Is it right to abuse everything and spy if it's going to be an end get the results?
Yeah, I suppose there's always a thing with Batman, though, isn't it? That he is the guy that can do all those things and take the blame for it, because no one knows who he really is. So the actual symbol itself of Batman can take, like he says, he at the end, Gordon's speech at the end, which is, I think, it's a fantastic end to the film, where he just basically says, like, he can take it because he isn't a normal guy. He's the persona that can take all that blame, and when we do need him back, he will come back. I think that's exactly what Batman is.
It's kind of a sad ending when you really think about it, because Batman's like himself. Commissioner Gordon really doesn't want Batman to be blamed because he knows the truth. Gordon's family knows the truth, but Batman's taking it upon himself to become the villain. You die the hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, which is what Harvey Dent says, and it applies to Harvey Dent, and it also applies to Batman.
Yeah, 100%.
He is, whereas Harvey Dent died the villain, but they frame him to be the hero, and they frame Batman as the villain. It's very cleverly woven, and I think it's it's not, to a lot of people on the surface level, this is just, you could argue it's just a modern day classic superhero film, but when you go deeper and deeper into this, it's there's more to it than just what the quote mainstream will see. Which is another thing in makes Dark Knight. It makes Dark Knight different to, say, Iron Man, which is just your standard superhero origin stories, which is not disrespecting Iron Man, because I love Jon Favreau and Iron Man is the godfather of the entire MCU, and I find it as it is in my mind as important as the Dark Knight. But one thing that I noticed when I was watching about the Dark Knight over a lot of superhero films is that you can make films around set pieces. This has to happen here, this has to happen here, and we have the big explosion at the end. But in the Dark Knight, the set pieces aid the narrative rather than being the narrative. It's saying that we've got this thing happening, we've got the burning of the money, we've got the bank heist at the start, we've got all these things that aiding the narrative rather than saying, well, we've got to have an explosion here, we've got to have this song put in here. And that's what I think works, is that they use a story rather than big studio.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's just the way they sort of set up the Joker as well is through all that sort of thing, where, the bank robbery at the start was, I think it's sort of almost funny the way each of them get killed one by one, and then it's just him left at the end, and just that setup is exactly what you say. It's aiding the narrative, because we keep hearing about this Joker guy. Who is he? I mean, we know who he is, obviously, but you haven't seen him yet. And so when you do get that reveal, it's so much more powerful. And the scene with the goons as well, with the pencil.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this pencil disappear. It's all perfect. It all works perfectly like that. That you can believe this guy is in charge. Yeah. Even with like we were saying earlier, where he says about nothing you've got can hurt me. Well, I think it's true for all the gangsters as well. They could just chop him up or kill him or whatever, but it wouldn't even bother him. He just I'm the only guy that can help you get this guy, so you'll do what I say, and you can believe that they would.
Yeah. I got one for you. We haven't even touched on Maggie Gyllenhaal, Rachel.
Yeah, I actually prefer her.
Yeah.
I'm not really a massive fan of Kate Holmes, to be honest, but she wasn't bad in Begins, but it didn't bother me that they changed the actor. Sometimes that really does bother me, but I think Maggie Gyllenhaal's she's more than a competent actress, so I actually preferred her performance.
Yeah, I mean, she's integral to the narrative, but she's more of a plot point rather than a character, because she's there to aid in Two-Face's turn, and the reason why Bruce wants to go back to not being Batman. She's there, but she's more a piece rather than a character. Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah, more of a stereotype, really, isn't she? Yeah. I mean, she's not a comic book character anyway. I don't think, is she?
Not to my knowledge.
So they could have just done whatever they wanted with her anyway. So yeah, she's a catalyst for everything happening, isn't she? I mean, it's the same with Marion Cotillard in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
I think her character was kind of like a just to get things moving character, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's good. I mean, that's tying into the whole Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. Liam Neeson's great as Ra's al Ghul, isn't he?
Oh, he's brilliant. Come on, he's Qui-Gon Jinn. And
he is.
Oscar Schindler. And Taken.
It's weird seeing him as a bad guy, actually.
Yeah.
When I first saw Batman Begins, I was like, when you find out who he really is, I was kind of like, what? Liam Neeson's a bad guy? This can't happen.
No, he was the head of the League of Shadows. Is it League of Shadows?
Yeah. Where you basically find out Batman was a ninja.
Yeah. Ninja Batman. Yeah. Okay. We've. This is. Do you think Heath Ledger would have got the Oscar had it not been for his passing?
I actually think he would. Yeah. I do see what people have said to me in the past, and I've said it myself sort of a little bit. Did he only get it because he died? But I think it's quite disingenuous to say that wasn't a great. I mean, he would at least have been nominated, I think.
I completely agree with you. It's just, I mean, the thing is, it's such a shame that I think we had more better materials, I think, to come from Heath Ledger.
Yeah, definitely.
And I also think that Ledger's Joker was the one that did open the door for Joaquin Phoenix to be nominated and actually win the Oscar for playing.
Oh, 100%.
So,
yeah.
It's just a shame, that he passed away before he could accept it, because, to play an iconic character like that and actually get an Oscar for it, And wasn't he the first to actually get an Oscar for playing a superhero in a superhero movie?
I think so, yeah, I would imagine so, because there's not much before that, superhero-wise, that's Oscar-worthy, is there?
No, I mean, they won it for visuals and everything, but not actually for...
Yeah.
So it's...
I don't think Jack Nicholson was nominated for anything, was he? For 89 or anything? No, it probably was then, yeah.
That would have been pretty cool. You got to remember that in '89, superhero films, what you can hardly. I think it was just it was Batman and the Punisher, wasn't it, in '89? That's the two.
Oh yeah, the Punisher. I forgot about the Dolph Lundgren one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't there a Nick Fury film as well?
That was a TV one.
Oh, was that a TV one? Okay.
It's actually, I think I found it on YouTube or somewhere. It's actually quite funny.
Yeah, it's the one. Is it Hasselhoff?
Hasselhoff, yeah. Oh, what a
Hasselhoff.
Yeah, what a pile of rubbish that film is. But yeah, I think that I think well, one last one. It's if it hadn't been for The Dark Knight, especially The Dark Knight, we wouldn't have the likes of, say, Logan, Deadpool, Joker, and it's sort of like taking the more adult themes into the mainstream. But here's something else I found out when I was doing this little bit of research. 2009's Watchmen, it wasn't. This was not an overnight thing. The whole everyone's going to go and see R-rated superhero films. Is that Watchmen only raked in 185 million at the worldwide box office. So people really weren't ready a year after for the legacy of what the more mature superhero films. Or do you think Watchmen just failed because of the subject?
I think Watchmen's like a different breed, though, isn't it? Because it was so... It is such a talked about and like famous graphic novel, and it had been in production limbo for maybe 20 odd years. Maybe was it late 80s? Maybe they were trying to do it.
They've been doing it for a long time.
I'm sure Terry Gilliam wanted to originally do something. Yeah, and you can actually read a lot of the scripts online that they came up with for them, and I think Watchmen itself was a different breed. Like it was its own thing. So there was already fans of it separately, whether you liked violent comic book movies or not. I think it was always going to not do well because it was so polarizing. I mean, now we both think it's fantastic, but I don't know. I think now, if it was released now, it would have probably done way better.
Yeah. But
I think at the time, there's so much baggage revolving around Alan Moore and Watchmen, and he has like a sordid history with Hollywood, doesn't he? I mean, something like V for Vendetta probably worked in the box office more because I didn't know it was a comic till I saw the film, so I think, unless you're an Alan Moore fan, that's one of his more obscure sort of, you wouldn't immediately think it was a famous comic. So, yeah, I think Watchmen's a bit different, but I know what you mean, yeah, everyone should have been ready for that after The Dark Knight, but maybe they still weren't attuned to it.
No, I mean, Watchmen is the Citizen Kane of comic book movies.
I like that.
Yeah, I stole that from somewhere. That's not mine because it's sort of like with time and people realise you have to know what works and everything and people analyse it. So you got the likes of, like I said, you got Logan, which definitely holds a lot to Dark Knight.
Yeah, definitely. And Watchmen as well, I would say, probably. Because it's gory, isn't it?
Yeah. At least when you're sitting in the cinema and watching Dark Knight, you don't get a big giant guy naked on the screen. I suppose that's one good thing. And of course, you like that sort of thing, then you go see Watchmen on a big screen, you get a big blue naked guy.
Yeah, Yeah. What was I going to say? It was something about. I've forgotten now. No, it doesn't matter. I hate that. I had it just now when we were talking about Watchmen.
TV series?
No, that's alright. I've lost it now.
Like that Thomas. That's a different story. Seems Any Connection, Zack Snyder, the other Superman movies.
No, I've totally lost it. I can't think what it was.
When you think about it, we'll add it onto another podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. In summing up, okay. Do you think, from a perspective of as a film, is Dark Knight Rise is the Dark Knight overrated? Speaking as a fanboy as well, well, I say fanboy, I mean a fan of the superhero genre and the comic book culture. Is the film overrated?
If you compare it to what's come before, which I think was equally, maybe if not a little bit better, with the Keaton films, then yeah, I think it is a little overrated. But at the same token, I do think it did change the whole landscape, and as well as Iron Man, it is responsible for how we view doing more serious superhero films. So in that sense, no, I don't think it is. I think it was every accolade it was given was fair. Like when we say it's overrated, don't take this as meaning that we don't like the film. We love it, but I think you had to realise at the time that we were already fans of Batman. So for us, it was not really anything new in that department. It was just, I think the film itself as a film was fantastically placed, if you like. I don't know if do you feel the same?
I completely agree. I'm bogged down with though is when it comes to watching it or thinking about, do I watch Dark Knight or do I watch Dark Knight Rises? I have a tendency to go with Rises because I think that there's so much baggage attached to the Dark Knight in the sense that everybody goes on and on and on about it. I want to watch even though the box office is very similar, I want to watch Rises, and Rises to me is a bit more fun. But to me, Dark Knight, when I first watched it, was just another superhero film because we were indoctrinated into the culture. It's just everybody else, but it has done a lot of positives. The positive is it's made the genre. It's one of that, and of course the MCU starting with Iron Man has made the outsiders, the geek culture, more. It's added to people. Whereas before the geeks were the ones that were shunned, now the geeks are the ones that people will go to ask them questions about the characters. So it's added a little bit more integration with what I define as your regular. When I say regular, I mean people in society that don't follow that sort of stuff religiously. The only downside is the Dark Knight has made it, and films like that has also started with the internet of making it easier if the quote little guys gaining more power, that they feel that they can, if they don't like them, they can write about it and tell the world and tell all the makers that they don't like ideas that they've heard about that they're doing, or when a film comes out that they don't like because they don't like the way the casting or the way this has been done. It's also given the quote small minority of the original fan bases the right that they think they're entitled to actually go on and start making decisions for themselves that they don't like a culture. Good one, example of this would be the last season of Game of Thrones or Star Wars Episode 8.
Yeah.
Because if they don't like something, then they will be vocal about it.
Yeah.
But that's that was the negative of the legacy of a film like Dark Knight. But the thing is, Dark Knight, like we said before, was always Heath Ledger's casting with the same with Michael Keaton's casting. We had people prior to its release all slating it because they didn't like it until we see it on the big screen. But it's just meant now when someone doesn't like a casting of a superhero film, because of Dark Knight, because it's so much in the culture that everyone thinks they've got a right to slate it if they don't like it. Look at the backlash Ben Affleck has been given. But as a movie, I like Dark Knight, and it does have some really powerful moments.
Yeah, I completely agree. Definitely.
So I think we're running out now. So this has been the High Ground Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this as much as we have recording it. I'm Stevie W.
And Callum.